All right, let's try this again. See if it pops up here. There we go. All right, it appears to be starting. And it looks like we are live, and hopefully I can maintain the stream here. Now it's kind of weird because I'm going to be hearing myself echoing back because I can't hear the screen unless I route everything through the TriCaster here, so it's going to be a little weird for me. All right, so what we're doing right now is we are going to edit live here for the next hour or so until I got to cook dinner. We're gonna stream this editing session, and we'll see how it all comes together. So here is my workflow here. I am using Final Cut Pro. I've been using Final Cut Pro 10 for a while. Now what I do is, as you all know, is I stream live to disk. So what I do is I use the TriCaster, the thing that's streaming out right now, also does all my recording and all the other cool stuff that you see here on the channel. So my editing process is actually very simple. And this is one of those videos where you'll want to rewind to the beginning if you come in a little late. So on the desk here, I've got my MacBook Pro. And then I have this disk here. This is that Xbox Seagate SSD I reviewed a little while ago. This is what I use to export all the data from the TriCaster. So the TriCaster is running Windows, and it's running with NTFS. So, hey, great, I got a $2 super chat already. Thank you very much. Who is the super chatter? Zam, thank you very much. So what will happen here is that the files that I record on the TriCaster are copied to this. And then I plug this into my Mac. Now the Mac can't write to NTFS, but it can read from it. And this will be important in a second. And then I have another drive here. Where did it go? Here it is. Today I'm using this one, but I use different ones at different times. This is my little Samsung SSD. And this thing is going to be kind of like the scratch disk, where as I'm editing, things will get put on there. So that is what is going on over there. So we got a Samsung and a Seagate, and that is what we're going to do. Emmett Anderson's already asking what I have for a switcher. I'm using a TriCaster Mini, which is down there. It's using HDMI most of the time. Really good stuff. So hopefully the stream will keep up with this, and we'll see where we go. So I'm going to start moving my files over first. So these are the files that I copied over from the TriCaster earlier. So this video is going to be in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different clips. So that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to move these over here. And you notice here that arrow just changed to like a little shortcut arrow because I leave these files on that drive. There's no need to copy them because that drive is going to be plugged in to the USB Type-C port here all the time. And that makes this process a little more efficient. So next thing I'm going to do here is create a new project. And we're going to call this Lenovo Y710 Cube. And let me go back to the thing here. And there we go. So the project is ready to go. Now I have a few additional clips that I'm going to bring over also. So I've got these things here that I brought from my phone earlier. So I'm just going to bring those over also and drop them in here. I'm actually going to copy these over because my downloads folder automatically wipes itself out over time here. So hey, another super chat. Baron Lux, thank you very much for that. Greatly appreciated. You will all be thanked on the weekly wrap-up this week. And my stream is already suffering here, so let me know if you have some issues. I might try to degrade the stream quality if need be. Let me go back and see if I can do that while I'm streaming. So if the stream is not able to keep up, what I will do is reduce quality here and see what happens there. And Waldeck is asking if I quit my job, and I did. I did quit my job. So I am a free agent, as they say. All right, so let's get to work on this here. And I will keep an eye on the stream health. I'm going to be spending a lot of time looking at my other screen, so I might miss your chats as they come in, but I will jump back and forth here as we go. But my stream health right now is on yellow, which is not a good sign for longevity here. My wife is watching something upstairs, as are the kids, so we'll see where it goes. Looks like we're back to good stream health here. All right, so what we're going to do now is start with the first clip that I brought over and just kind of go from there. And I'm not hearing it. Shoot, let me go see why we're not hearing that here. Oh, you know why? I wonder if it's only coming out of one ear, maybe? Let's see. No, it's not. I'm not hearing anything. Why not? It was working before. I have audio. So what is the problem? I haven't done one of these live before, so that's part of the problem here. Let's see. I need to go switch my audio around here. All right, so that works. That's so weird. All right, let me go see what's going on here. Let's go switch back and see if I can figure out what's going on with this. I might just have to route it through the mic here, which is fine, because then you guys can have to watch the the video tonight when it goes up. Let's see if this works better now. Yeah, it's completely silent. Huh.
15 or 20 pounds, but...
all right, so I'm just going to do it this way. You'll have to hear it through my microphone if that's all right. Okay, so let's go back and get this going here. So I'm going to kill input 3 here while I'm at it there, just to prevent any issues from popping up. Okay, so thank you, Fernie Lopez. Thank you very much for the super chat. And what I'm going to do now is start laying down my tracks, so let's just get to work here.
Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at the Lenovo Y710 Cube. This is a somewhat portable gaming PC, as you can see here. It's not all that lightweight. It's about 15 or 20 pounds, but you can take it with you to gaming events and other things you might be doing, and there's a good amount of horsepower in this thing that we will be exploring over the course of this review. Now, I do want to mention, in the interest of full disclosure, this is on loan from Lenovo. So when we're done with this, it goes back to them. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, and no one is reviewing this content before it is posted.
All right, so that is the first step there. So what I did is I set an in and an out, and then you can see that's where we've got that yellow bar on there, and then I'm just going to drop it down, and
hey everybody,
we're good to go. So that is the first track laid down on there. And thank you, Sweeney, for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. Blake Sweeney, thank you very much. So we're going to go through this, and for some reason it was working on the TriCaster before and it stopped, and I think what happened earlier was that I accidentally knocked the Thunderbolt cable out of here, so rather than just rebooting, you'll just hear it through my mic. Hopefully that will work. So
back to them. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, and no one is reviewing this content before it is posted.
Okay, so now that's the first track, and now we're going to go to the next track. And this is one of the nice things about how I work here, is that everything I do, I shoot live to disk.
3, 2, 1. All right, so let's step through the hardware.
So all these camera switches that you're going to see here, all of those happened when I was recording, so I don't have to go and edit this later, which really saves me a ton of time, which is really the big help here. So that is why we do what we do and how we do it here. So let's just go through it here.
3, 2, 1. All right, so let's step through the hardware. These start at around $929, and there's a...
And now the other thing that I do is I leave markers here, and I'll show you why I do that. So, you know, I do that video index on every video, and the reason is that I want people to very efficiently find what I'm doing in the course of the video, and rather than have to go back and watch the whole video again after I'm done, I go through and mark it up while I am recording, and Final Cut has a really neat way of organizing those things together here. So I'm going to play it through here.
Different configuration options you can put into it. So at the low end, you can get in at that $930 price tag with an RX 460 GPU from AMD. You can put into it. So
note here. And I'm going to make this one a to-do item, because I think what I'm going to do is lay in some B-roll of the Lenovo website of all the different options that they have available, just to break it up a little bit.
Price tag with an RX 460 GPU from AMD. This one is going to run you about $1,500 to $1,600 because it has the NVIDIA 1070 built in. I'm going to take it apart in a second so you can see what is inside. And undoubtedly, when I do a pre-assembled gaming PC review...
Yes, I'm using Final Cut Pro 10.
I will get a lot of comments about how you can build this yourself if you wanted to for less money. And you could probably do that for less money, but some people like to buy a computer out of the box and get working with it, which is the value that a pre-assembled PC will bring you. But if you do want to really complete your Jedi training as a PC gamer, building your own PC is akin to building your own lightsaber, and you should definitely do it at some point along the way as you continue your adventure into PC gaming. So,
okay, so
a really nice looking case here.
Okay, so we're going to say right about here.
Top here to carry it around. It lights up on the front here. I'll show you what those lights look like when we boot it up. And then when
we'll do this and add another marker and say tear down right here. Actually, I'll call it teardown and configuration. All right.
I thought.
And Danny Pill is wondering if Final Cut Pro is better than iMovie. Oh, definitely. Partly because you can have so many different layers. It's really a professional grade editing software, and comparatively it's not all that expensive. I think here's my philosophy about what you should use for hardware or software is that when you get to a point where you can't do what you want to do, then it's time to upgrade to something that gets you there. So when I started doing this live to disk thing, I was using a Blackmagic ATEM switcher, which was fine for when I started, but then I was getting into stuff like, hey, I want to do something. Let me show you a great example of something I wanted to do. Where did my other thing go here? I'm going to pull up my ME4 here, and I'm just going to drop in. All right, so watch this. So here is something really cool that you can do on the TriCaster. So I'm going to hit play on my video player here. We got the background going, and I want to put in the screen that I'm working on here. Now that's all real time. That's happening in real time right now. And I couldn't do that on the ATEM, and I wanted to. I wanted to have multiple pictures in pictures while I was recording, so I didn't have to do this in editing. And this lets me do that, which is why I decided to invest in the TriCaster eventually. The same goes for software. When you get to a point where the software isn't cutting it for you anymore, that's when you should maybe think about upgrading to something more. So for me, Final Cut Pro 10 was really the right solution. And I bought this actually the day that it came out, and I happened to be, this is, kid you not, this is a true story. I was at the Kennedy Space Center, and I was about to go into a tour of Space Shuttle Discovery, and I had a separate audio recording that I was going to try to sync up manually with the old version of Final Cut, and the new version came out that morning, and I was able to get my isolated audio attached up with my SLR video that day. I'll put a link, if you go and search my channel, you can see that tour that I recorded, but again, I bought software when I needed it to make it work. So, yeah, John Richardson's talking about how the new ATEM has ME now, which will make things a lot easier. So, yeah, I do spit a lot, so it's a good thing you guys are not in here in the room with me.
You can see what is inside,
right,
and
so
then
let's keep
we'll see
working
what all
here.
the ports are on the other side. So these panels are typically screwed down. I unscrewed them just to get at them easier, but you can do that without any tools. And on this side, you've got the power supply. Only
I'll do a little note here. Power supplies. I know people look for this stuff, and actually the indexing really helps also because for search engine optimization. So if I index all the important points in the video and somebody happens to be searching for the Y710Q power supply, they'll see it in here, and that's why I make a note to do that. Mr. Pickle is not contributing to the discussion here, so you are going to be put in a timeout for a few minutes. Okay, so let's go through the rest of it here.
150 watts though, so keep that in mind if you are planning to use a heavier GPU in the future. You've got a spinning hard drive.
Okay.
Out of this thing here, the cables are just flip it around here to the other side real quick, and
so we'll say CPU, RAM, and GPU. McUSA loves the live streams. I like doing them too. It's great. I'd love to have time to be able to do this stuff now and share them with you all. So my only cap on time right now is I have to cook dinner. I cook dinner at this house, so I'm going to be cooking dinner in about 40 minutes. So as soon as that happens, whether we're done or not, I'll have to do that. So John Richardson's wondering if I'm using the Cerevo or the TriCaster. This is the TriCaster today. So we're going out at 1080p at 6 megabits per second.
Of this thing here. The cables are just kind of a big mishmash.
So hopefully it works.
So we'll do some thermal discussions in a little bit.
The rest of this here. Right, and then we're going to go into here, and now
PC builders would not like to see that in their own PCs.
Now the ports are up here. Andy was wondering how long is my typical editing time. Actually, it's only about an hour or so. I never really was very mindful of the time that I was spending because I was just staying up all night working before I quit my job. So I'm finding that I do about an hour of shooting. Believe it or not, the shortest amount of work that I do on this channel is the shooting part. So I shoot for about an hour or so, depending on what kind of mood I'm in and how tired I am. And then the editing takes about an hour. The editing is actually very quick, as you'll see here. Really, the only thing that's taking up time right now is setting these index points, which I used to not do when I was editing, but I found it's easier to do it now than it is to do it after the fact while I'm uploading the video. So
3.0 ports on the top here, and this one here has the ability to charge your devices when.
All right, so those are the ports.
Not a very good keyboard and mouse for gaming, but it does come with one nonetheless. But you may
Hey,
want to.
John Richardson, the QuickCast guy. How you doing? So John's got he's got a cool thing here. If you want to produce a show, he's got a bus with a TriCaster and the whole studio in there. He brings it to wherever you are and makes you a show. It's really cool. So check out his company. He can post his link to his website there.
Supply your own stuff later, and then of course you plug in the power cable on that end to get it all fired up. And speaking of firing it up, let's do that right now. I'm going to put it back together, turn it on, and we'll see how it performs.
All right, so that's it. So now we set the out point on that front. I'm going to drop this one down, and now we're good to go. Now, I always like to do is check in between clips here to make sure that it's a clean cut.
A keyboard and mouse. You can watch my full unboxing. Not when it's posted. All right, so let's step post. Is reviewing this content before it is posted. All right, so let's step through the.
There you go. So you can see how that works. I might shorten that up a little bit. Now, one of the ways you can work with Final Cut here, there are keyboard shortcuts. I use a lot of them, but not all of them, because I like to drag my clips down for some reason. But if I hit the little arrow here, what it does is it moves frame by frame and shortens up the clip, because I don't like to have a lot of dead air.
All right,
so here we go.
Before it is posted. All right, so let's step
so that's a little
hardware.
bit cleaner
These
for me.
start at around $929, and there's a bunch.
So we're done there. I'm going to add that. I'm going to do that to do later on before I upload tonight. Now, you'll notice here on the side, now I've got all of these positions on here. And the reason why I like to set these markers is that this will adjust automatically as I add things to the mix here. So one of the things that I do when I do my intro, the little Lon.TV thing that shows up on there when we first go, if you go over to solids here, I just drop in a black background, and I'm going to zoom in a little too far. And you notice that when I drop that in, those times change. So watch this as I make this smaller here. Watch this. If I drop it, you see the times change? So those markers always stay where they are. So when I'm done, I just have a complete index of everything that I need. And then I go over here to the little thing that I made. So let's go back to Lon.TV and then just drop this in here like that. And you can see there's the intro.
Hey everybody, it's
boom. And then I'm going to go over here. Now what I do is I have these template files that I use that are my own. So what I've got is it's about a 400 megabyte file. And one of the nice things about Final Cut Pro is that it very neatly packages all your stuff together. So I've got a little file that I can copy onto any of my SSDs, and it's got all this stuff in here already pre-built. So all the intros, the Patreon thing, everything is in there. So I can get started very quickly. I'm all about efficiency. That's my philosophy here. So I'm going to go grab the little intro file that starts it off here. And I just grabbed the tail end of this stock music that I put together. And I've already configured it in the template to be -5 for audio. So you can see how it starts off here.
Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV.
There we go.
We're taking a look today at the Lenovo.
So that is how it works. Even else is wondering if I script my videos or no, I never do any scripted stuff. I tried to in the past, but you know, it's just, I don't think it's as natural for me.
We'll see how it performs.
So and plus the other thing is I'm always looking down or doing something. So there's nights, and I'm better now that I'm actually able to do this during the day. I found that for me, my energy level is at its best spot around 1:30 or 2 p.m. So that's when I try to start recording around that time because I don't screw up as much. When I used to do this late at night, I would always be screwing it up, and it was really hard to get the vibe going on the video. But I found since I got started full time, it's been a lot easier. So no, I don't script any of my videos there. All right, so let's keep moving on here. So we're going to go to our next clip. So go back to the Cube video here. And we'll go down to the next clip here. So you can see here, one of the things I always try to do is make sure that I don't like jump cuts, because when I was in college, I would get dinged if I ever had a jump cut in my video. So you can see here, there I am. So I'm ending on me. We're going to start on the computer next. But I'm noticing here, I lift my hands up right there at the end. So we're going to clip that down a little bit to make sure that, eliminate that. All right, so let's see.
How it performs.
Okay, so now I'm not ending the performs. I'm going to go one more frame over.
See how it performs.
Maybe one more frame.
On and we'll see how it performs.
All right, one more frame.
Turn it on and we'll see how it performs.
Okay, so I think I'm safe with this.
Turn it on and we'll see how it performs.
Good. All right, so that'll be a good jumping off point. And then we'll go over to the next clip here.
3, 2, 1. All right, so everything is up and running now, and here is the desktop. And the nice thing is that it does not come with a lot of bloatware. In fact, they have a little dock.
All right, so we'll just do a comment here. I'm going to say, oops. desktop and lack of bloatware. And we'll put another mark right about here for controlling LED lights. And that looks good.
Starting with Grand Theft Auto 5.
Boom. All right, so now we'll set the out point. Drop that sucker in there. Now I have a little bit of extra dead air here, so I'm just going to trim that a little bit, and then we'll re-inspect that jump there and see how it does.
Turn it on and we'll see how it performs. All right, so everything is up and running now, and here is the...
So there you go. Not bad. All right, so we'll just move over to the end here. So
this is also how you can turn at some gaming, starting with Grand Theft Auto 5.
All right, so, and then again, you can see my index here is continually keeping itself up to date, so I'm able to get that index put together when I'm done with the video very easily. And now we'll go into GTA 5.
3, 2, 1. All right, so here we go.
I'm just going to do... And what's cool is I can set the index points in the clip before I drop it in, or do it later.
Difficult game to configure for just because it really varies in its performance depending on what's happening in the game while you're playing it here. And you can see that frame rate in the upper left-hand corner kind of changing quite a bit as just in just the last couple of minutes going through the city here.
It's actually really hard for me to talk while I play these games. It's really, I had a couple of takes on that, so we'll
Starting
see.
with Grand Theft Auto 5. All right, so here we go.
All right, there's a little bit of a double breath there, so I'm going to try to sneak in here and maybe shorten this up a little bit. So one that way, and then do the other one this way. All right.
Grand Theft Auto 5. All right, so here we are.
Boom. That was a really nice transition, I thought. So
how that works. Let's take a look now at some gaming, starting with Grand Theft Auto 5. All right, so here we are.
Boom. Okay, so we're good there. And
going through the city here.
Okay, so we end there, and now we're going to do Doom.
3, 2, 1. All right, so now let's take a look at the new version of Doom that I've been playing quite a bit of. It's a very fast game.
All right, add another thing in here. So the index points, John, I use this to build my my video index that I put in the description when I upload the video. So I used to do this after the video, so I would go through and reset all the index points, but I found it's easier because I have this list here. So what I'll do when I upload is I'll just look at this list and have the browser up and just type in everything from there. I got to find a utility that can give me an output of this so I don't have to type it over again. That's my only bottleneck right now, is I have to retype that index list there when we're done. And for the person asking me to say their name, I'm not saying their name because I need to be sponsored to talk about your company's sandwiches. There's no free rides for major corporations on this channel. All right, so there we go. We're done there. Go through Doom. By the way, I love this Doom game. It is. I haven't had time to play it, but it's a lot of fun.
Should do pretty well.
All right, so output that, and boom. So let's see how that.
As just in just the last couple of minutes going through the city here. All right, so now let's take a look at the new version of Doom that I've been playing quite a bit of. It's a very fast game.
Let's go back and make sure that.
Going through the city here. All right, so now let's take a look at the new
version
of Doom.
This video is actually editing a lot faster than some of my other ones do. I just had a good shoot today.
Do pretty well.
So that was part of the reason why this one is not going to be as dramatic. All right, so now this is a good one here. So
2-1. 2-1. I also ran the Time Spy test from 3D Mark's gaming benchmarking suite, and we got a score.
Now I look down at my notes here, but what I'm going to do is actually overlay the graphics that you usually see when I do this stuff. So.
Device. What was interesting, though, is that my Haswell i7 on my gaming build over there, the one I built about 2 years ago here on the channel, that one does a little bit better in its CPU GPU side of things.
All right, so I'm going to set my out point there, and now what I'm going to do is, so now I've got to go create the graphics for this, and just like everything else, I have things templated. So I use a program called Keynote. If you've ever been on the Mac before, you've probably heard of it. It is basically the alternative to PowerPoint, and believe it or not, Keynote is why I am a Mac user. I got into this a couple of years ago. Actually more than that, probably about 10 years ago now. I had some presentations to do, and I wanted to be a little different in how I presented my stuff, and Keynote really just delivers because it is a very, it just works better, it looks more professional. So, hey, John, if you think of it, email me, and I can get you the name of the guy that did my crawl for me. He was pretty efficient. It was good. But Fiverr is kind of a misnomer because nothing is ever $5 on Fiverr. I don't know why they call it Fiverr anymore. All right, so now what I'm going to do, let me switch back over to the screen here. And what I've got here, I keep a running tally of all my benchmark scores. And we did the time spy test for this review. So what I'm going to do here is just grab actually these top 4. And I'm going to copy these to the clipboard. And that's out of my, my thing. And what this is a Google spreadsheet that I keep of all of the performance benchmarks that I do. I think I have it, I think it's like Lon.TV/benchmarks or something. So you can go in there and look at it anytime you want. I make that publicly accessible. So now what we'll do is go through my keynote presentation here, and I need to find the Time Spy one. Here it is. And I'm just going to go ahead. I think I've got 4 of them here. I'm just going to paste this on. And there we go. How about that? Everything lined up very nicely here. So I'm just going to kill this one here. Not kill it, but make it no fill. All right, I'm just going to put the commas in here so people can see the differences. So Ed is asking, this is a good question. How long does it take to produce a segment? Typically, not that long. So like I said, it's about an hour to shoot it, about an hour or so to edit it. And because I'm shooting efficiently live to disk, there's not a lot of this. This is like the exception as to what I would normally have to do, because I have to produce this after the fact. Now, I have in the past done these graphics ahead of time and then dropped them in while I was recording. But if I pushed the wrong button at the wrong time, I lose a good take, and it was getting irritating. So I said, you know what, if the time to make this is the same, and it's not all that hard to just drop it in as an image afterwards. So I've got this thing built out here. I think we're good to go. So what I'm going to do now is just drop this into a JPEG file. So I'm just going to export to an image real quick. So let me do that. And then we'll move this out to Final Cut and import it back in. So I keep everything in my downloads folder. I've got a great little Mac utility called Hazel. And what it does is it cleans out my downloads folder automatically. So if a file is in there for more than 3 days, it's gone. So I keep this as like my temporary store. So anything that I don't need to use 3 days from now, I just put in there, and then it just goes away by itself. So that is why I do that. So I'll drop this into my downloads folder real quick here, create that file. And now I'm going to go back into Final Cut here and just import that file. Let me go back over to Final Cut and import that file real quick, and then we'll go back and drop that in. And I might try to do something with it, because I looked down for a little too long as I was shooting it, as I was watching it after the fact. So I might decide to change that up or something a little bit later, but we'll see. Let me just drop that in. So there's that thing that we made, and I'll just double click on that and bring it in. And that is done. So now I'm going to go up to the Time Spy thing here, and we'll find the right spot to drop it in.
And we got a school.
Okay, so there we go. I'm going to grab the Time Spy. And what's nice, I can drag it here on the timeline and look for right when I look down, right about here is when I'll drop that in. And then I can drag it through here and just see exactly when I stop looking down. That's my goal here, is to make sure that I am never looking down when I have the camera on me. So there we go. All right, so it's about, how long are we looking at here? About 30 seconds. I usually like this to not be any more than 25 seconds, but I just looked down for too long while I was going through it. So I like to make sure my numbers are correct, because a couple times I've done these videos, and there was one night, oh, it was killer. So it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got the wrong number because I wasn't looking down at the paper when I read it, and I said, oh no. So I think I just did a voiceover with it. I mean, I think that's what I ended up doing. But even a voiceover takes some effort to reshoot, because I have to come down here, put the microphone on, boot up the same thing in the same spot, and go from there. And somebody said, what, Lon takes notes? Yes, I do take notes. In fact, this is my cheat sheet here that I use. So whenever I do a review, I just put down all the things that I want to talk about, and I make sure that I go through them all when I do it. So these little things I print out on paper, incidentally, because I used to use an iPad, but the iPad would shut off or something would happen. I couldn't get quick access to it. So I make a little Google Doc for everything that I review, all the points that I want to make, and I keep it on the table here with me. You never see it, but it is there when I'm working on it. So let me go back over here.
I also ran the Times
let's see how this looks.
gaming monitor that runs at 120 or 144 hertz or something. This game with this configuration should do pretty well. I also ran the.
So I'm gonna just. I was thinking maybe it might be fun to have like a little extra footage here, but you know what? There's no sound, so it's not that interesting. So we're gonna just cut that short a little bit there, and then drop this over like that.
Should do pretty well. I
Boom,
also ran
okay.
the Time Spy test from
Right,
3D Mark's gaming benchmarking suite, and we got a
Boom.
score there of 5,374 on that DirectX 12 test. And what was interesting is when you look at other 1070 devices that we have tested, the score here on the graphics side of things lines right up. So
you know what? I don't like the way that graphic looks because it's not. It's a little messy. So let me go back. I'm going to go back to Keynote real quick and just edit one thing on it because I want people to be able to read this and not get confused by it. I have found, as I've been doing this, that there are some folks who get really bothered by things not in the right place. And if I can avoid that and keep a viewer watching longer, it's worth the extra effort to make it right. So, you know, my philosophy with this has been, to some degree, it's been don't worry, be crappy, in that if the production quality isn't perfect, it's fine. But if there's something avoidable that I can fix very quickly, like this right here, I'm going to do that. So what I'm doing right now is I just made these look a little cleaner so that it's not just jumbled up all over the place. So let me go do that real quick. And I'll drop this in over in my downloads folder again. So we'll call this Time Spy Take 2. And drop that in there. Zam is watching on his 4K TV. Yeah, the TriCaster doesn't support 4K. I would love it to. My cameras that I have in here are 4K. The problem with 4K is that it takes a lot more to upload. So what I really want to do, I'm going to be transitioning over to 30p. That's my next project, is to get a 30p workflow going. Because right now I'm 1080i. I talked about that on the wrap-up this last week. So if you want to know why, you can watch that. Because you're probably seeing some weird jagged edges on the Mac right there, and that's because I'm shooting at 1080i and it's de-interlacing it, and you get a little jaggedy stuff on it like that. So, all right, let me just go and redo the graphic here. How am I doing on time? All right, we got 20 minutes, folks, until dinner time. And Matt Jeske was mentioning that he appreciates my family dedication, which I am very much a family guy. That's part of the reason why it was nice to. Even though I'm entering into financial uncertainty doing what I'm doing, the good news for me, at least, is that I gain my sanity back and get my family time back. And I wasn't giving up family time, but because the kids are getting older, I was spending more time with the kids at night and starting this a lot later. So it's been really nice to like wrap up down here around 6, 7 o'clock and then go upstairs and cook dinner and do all that stuff. So, and then if my wife has to go out for a few minutes or something, I can watch the kids in the interim. So that's been good too. All right, so let's fill this back in. There we go.
Would expect it to.
Doesn't that look nice? I think that looks nicer. Doesn't it look nicer? So
out of the i3 build that we did recently with its 1070.
Oh, so Nico wants to know what I'm having for dinner. So here's the thing. This is not a paid plug. I am a legitimate customer of Blue Apron. Have you all heard of this? And I just got started on it. And it's been great because I like to cook stuff, but I am not good at, actually, I shouldn't say this. I like to cook stuff and I love trying new recipes and whatnot, but I hate the shopping part. And I hate going out. I mean, it takes so much time to go to the store and buy all the ingredients. So what they do is they send you a box with 3 meals in it, with everything you need, all the right amounts. You throw it into a pan. It's not easy. I mean, it's not hard, but it's not like an easy throw in the microwave kind of dinner. It's not processed. It's all, you're making the sauces from scratch. And usually the prep time is like 30 minutes or so, and then you have a little bit of extra cooking time, obviously. But without question, everything we've made from there, I mean, there's a couple of meals that weren't the best, but by and large, it's all been excellent. And it's stuff we never would have cooked on our own. They keep the calories capped, like around 600 or 700 calories a meal, so you're not getting anything too fattening. It's been really, really good there. So, another super chat from Evnos. Thank you very much for your contribution. So that'll help pay for the for the dinner tonight. But I've been really pleased with Blue Apron. So that's what I'm making. There's this pork thing I'm making tonight. So it should be good.
Benchmarking suite, and we got a score there of 5,307 compared to about 11 on the i5 that is on the all-in-one from Lenovo we looked at a couple of weeks ago. Also a gaming device. What was interesting, though, is that my Haswell i7 on my gaming build over there, the one I built about 2 years ago here on the channel, that one does a little bit better in its CPU performance versus the Skylake chip on this one. So we're not seeing a...
So what I might do here...
that one does a little bit better. What was interesting, though, is that my Haswell i7 on my gaming...
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do now is go back into Keynote real quick because I'm talking about another benchmarking result. And I think what I want to do there is drop in a little, kind of bring that graphic back up and highlight something there. So let me go back to my Keynote presentation real quick. And what I'm going to do is, I'll show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go in here and select my Haswell gaming PC. And I'm going to just fill that cell with a little bit of blue, so that when I talk about it, it can come up and it will at least draw the viewer's attention to that. And Keynote, by the way, all the stuff that I do, all the graphics that I do on the channel, even the animations, I use Keynote for. The animation stuff on it is awesome. I have Motion on the Apple video editing suite, but that is a little more complicated to work with in that it takes a lot more time. So Keynote can do basic stuff pretty decently. So I'm going to call this TimeSpy Haswell Dissolve. All right, so we'll copy that one over. And I'm just going to add it back into my mix here on Final Cut. But this one's going pretty smoothly, actually. Sometimes I'll find something that I need to change. One of the things I've gotten really good at is if I'm sometimes I might go on for too long and I will cut up different parts of the video, and you never notice it because like I can find these spots where I can see I can cut it right there and then get rid of some stuff and then back it back up with something else. And sometimes you might, if you're a trained editor, you might hear it and I know what he did there. But generally I've been pretty good about being able to get pretty intricate with my cuts here. And part of the reason why I can do that is that I have the ability, I just grab in footage that I can overlay. I never do a jump cut, so you'll never see me do a jump cut, but I might grab some footage from a different part of the video or from a different take and use that as my bridge for a jump cut that I might have. And I know everybody does jump cuts, where a jump cut is basically like if I was like talking and then you hear the cut and you see me in a different spot immediately. That's a jump cut. I don't do that. I had a professor in college that would fail you if you ever did a jump cut, so I've been really mindful of not jump cutting there. So. So Bishop Henry is asking about what switcher I use. Right now I'm using a TriCaster Mini. And John Richardson wants to know about the database. Yeah, I think if you go to, I think it's at Lon.TV/benchmark. I have a big Google spreadsheet where I put all of my stuff in there. And our super supporter here, Mark Bollinger, just popped in. He's our gold supporter for next month. Welcome, Mark. Dennis says I should do a video cooking with Blue Apron. You would not believe the mess that I create upstairs. So my wife and I have a deal. I cook and she cleans up after me. And I think she's got the bad part of the deal because I destroy the kitchen in the process. So now we've got this Haswell discussion. And what I'm going to do here, watch what I'm going to do. So
a gaming build over there, the one I built about 2 years ago here on the channel, that one.
Okay, so I'm going to take that first graphic that we put in before, and I'm going to do a dissolve to the other one, so you can. So that way you know what I'm pointing out. So watch what I'll do here. Oops. I'm going to do the snap again.
Channel. That one does a little bit better in its CPU performance versus the Skylake chip on this one. So we're not seeing.
All right. So
that one does a little bit better in its CPU.
Okay, that's a good spot. Okay, so I'm going to drop it in right here. And what I'm going to do is a dissolve between the two. So watch this.
Years ago here on the channel, that one does a little bit better in its CPU performance versus
See
the
that?
Skylake chip
so
on.
That way I can, I want to make sure the viewer knows what I'm looking at, because the other thing I'm very mindful of on this channel is that my viewers, so, you know, and I'm not disparaging anyone here. Linus Tech Tips is a show that is for enthusiasts. I get enthusiasts who are subscribers, but 75% of the people that will likely watch this video may not be technically oriented like a Linus Tech Tips viewer is. So I really try to think about when I'm doing these videos, all right, so if I'm talking about this other computer, what am I pointing to when I do that? And so that's why I do that little dissolve there.
That one does a little bit better in its CPU performance versus the Skylake chip on this one. So we're not seeing a huge...
All right, so there's that, and I'll just go shorten this up a little bit here, because everything else doesn't need the thing does not need to be up for all that long.
That one does a little bit better in its CPU performance versus the Skylake chip on this one. So we're not seeing a huge bump in processor performance lately from one generation to the next. All the growth really has been on the GPU side of things.
Boom. Okay, so that's good. I'm going to go a little notch there, and now we'll just keep dropping in clips here. So now we're up to
3, 2, 1. Now, given the compact size of the computer here, you might be wondering how it.
All right, I need to put the. All right, so we'll do our 3D Mark benchmark times by. Forgot to do that in the other thing.
Compact size of the computer here, you might be wondering how it does with thermals. So I ran the 3D Mark stress test on it, which runs one of these really high-end benchmarks over and over again about 10 times to see if temperature reduces its performance, because many of these components are designed to run slower if they get too hot. We got to
all right, so drop in a to do, and we'll do a 3D Mark stress test result. All right.
Score there of 97.5%. They give you a cutoff as to a pass or a fail at 97.
And Posis Van Life is watching on his NVIDIA Shield, and that is a great device. I'm glad it's working. I've never actually watched live YouTube video on the Shield before. I should try to do that at some point. And Zam is wondering any update on the subreddit. I haven't done much with the subreddit. You know what it is that we had a few people in there, but not a lot. My biggest concern for myself right now is time. I'm trying to figure. So I'm doing everything myself still. I'm going to be bringing on somebody to help soon. So I would love to get the subreddit back up and running again. I've been having better luck with community engagement on Facebook. The Facebook page. It's kind of minimal there too. These live streams are actually the best thing I do for direct community engagement. I get a lot of people popping in. So we usually average about 100 viewers or so when I do these things. So that is where the subreddit's at. So let me finish out the rest of this.
So it did kind of sneak in there, but I think generally the cooling on it isn't bad just because the GPU is blowing its hot air out the top here. So I think it's going to be fine. I don't think you'll see a lot of thermal throttling while you're in the middle of a game.
All right.
On the GPU side of things. Now, given the compact size of the computer, given the thermal throttling while you're in the middle of a game.
Now, what I did actually is I trimmed the clip on the TriCaster. So I started going into the home theater stuff, and then I screwed up something here. So, Forever Man, thank you very much for your super chat. I appreciate that very much. It's amazing too that the international nature of YouTube here. You're all from all over the world. It's really cool. So Jordan wants to know, this is the Lenovo Y710 Cube. It's a somewhat portable gaming laptop. Sorry, laptop. Portable gaming desktop. If you go to my extras channel at Lon.TV/extras, I unboxed it today. And, we got another one in here. So Robert Spangle, happy Friday. Thank you very much for your super chat. Much appreciated.
Middle of a game.
It is Friday. But I found on this channel there's no such thing as a weekend. If I can get, here's my goal at this point is to be able to get like a queue of content that I have loaded up. So right now I'm basically doing a video a day, starting the review process, editing and shooting and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't been able to get ahead yet, which is what I'm really trying to do. So I may start doing a few filler pieces that are still interesting, but aren't necessarily a review. So I've been meaning to do a follow-up 2 years later on the Apple Watch. So I might do something on that. I'm going to start a new segment also called Didn't Make the Cut. So things that I started looking at that just were junk and I didn't want to review them, but I think I should do something with them. So I'm going to do a little series on that. So you'll be seeing me, fill in some things with some content so I can try to get a couple of days here and there. We got a couple more super chats in. Andy Roworth jumped in, so thank you very much, and I appreciate that. Professor WordW wants to know if I could change the blank colors of my intro, outro, and thumbnails and everything else to a textured picture. They look really boring. I may consider that. I just, my issue is always time. So I have not been able to focus on doing some of the aesthetics of the channel more, but part of why the thumbnails are blank colors and I'm not a designer, but I had a few friends of mine who were in the consulting business for YouTube, and they suggested that I have something loud and bright as a branding thing. And now I've got, hundreds of thumbnails with the yellow blank stuff in there, so that's why I'm doing that. But at some point as the channel grows, I'd love to be able to bring on, maybe even on a contract basis, have an artist come in and kind of redo everything. I'd love to have a different set and improve my lighting. There's a bunch of things that I want to do, but my focus right now is just trying to figure out how to do this full time and get a lot of just a workflow process down. As I mentioned on the wrap, I'm going to bring in some help to try to take some of the things off my plate so I can focus more on production, and then from there we'll start doing that. Bishop Henry, thank you for the super chat, a cookie for the kids. Thank you very much. I'll buy a couple of cookies for that, so I appreciate your contribution there.
You're in the middle of a game.
All right, so we're good there. And now we're going to go over to the next. Now I have that to-do item here, so I'm going to go and grab the picture that I took of that result. So I'm going to drop that in here. Now here's one of the cool things about Final Cut Pro. So I got this picture here, and you'll notice that on the side here, you see the background because this image is not as large as the entire 1080p video here is. So I'm just going to shorten this up a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is do a little trick that they've built into Final Cut called the Ken Burns effect. So let's go back over here. And Ken Burns is a documentary filmmaker, and he's known for taking still images and doing this to them. So watch this.
We got a score there of 97.5%. They give you a cutoff as to a pass.
So that is one click, and you get that. So sometimes you have to go in and set keyframes and all the other stuff, but generally it's a pretty quick and easy way to get going here. So that is pretty cool. So let's hit that. There we go. So
if they get too hot, we got a score there of 97.5%.
Is that cool?
They give you a cutoff as to a pass or a fail at.
And that was a one-click thing, so I use this a lot. So you'll see this a lot, and you can have it go. So if you go into the thing here, let me go back over to this. You can see it's got the start point and the end point. So you can do all sorts of stuff. You can have it scrolled left to right or whatever, but basically you set a start and an end, and that's it. And it does the zoom automatically. And when you're working with photographs, you usually have enough resolution that you can zoom into them pretty tightly. So that is what I've been doing on that front. So it really is pretty slick.
97.5%. They give you a cutoff as to a pass or a fail at 97%, so it did kind of sneak in there, but I think generally the cooling on it isn't bad just because the GPU is blowing its hot air out the top here, so I think it's going to be fine. I don't think you'll see a lot of thermal throttling while you're in the middle of a game.
All right, so we're done there. So now I'm going to go over to the next stop here. Now, we're going to drop in some B-roll footage. So Baron Lux wants to know if you could blur the background instead of the start and end point. Oh, yeah, so I could do that. What I could do is, that would require some extra work, but what I could do is, this is how I would do it. I would drop a blade in here, and I would then, so I blade here, and then I would blur this little clip here with the Gaussian blur, and then I would just overlay the image on top of that. That's a few more clicks, so a lot of times I just like the way this looks, and I zoom there, so that's how I would get that going. But yeah, you could definitely do that. In fact, I do occasionally, if I've got a video that I'm overlaying, I'll do that with the video where I'll actually take it on 2 layers. So I'll have a video up here and a video here, and then blur the bottom one and scale it in so that it moves around in the background with the same exact image as the one that's on top of it. So you might see that in a few of my videos too. Maybe when I have a complicated edit, I'll do another stream so you can see how that goes. All right, so we're good there. All right, so now what I'm going to do.
3, 2, 1. And the fan noise on this isn't all that loud, but it's always there. So even when it's at idle, you'll hear.
So I'm going to drop a little note in here about fan noise. All right.
And the fan noise on this isn't all that loud, but it's always there. So even when it's at idle, you'll hear some fans running. It's got the CPU fan, the power supply fan, and of course the GPU fan. All of them may not be on at the same time together, but generally they're there. Under load, it isn't all that loud, but it is always audible. So if you're thinking about maybe using this in your home theater, given its relatively small form factor, know that there will be audible. So if you're thinking about maybe using this in your home theater, given its relatively small form factor, know that there will be some fan noise going on there. I did have some pretty good luck, though, with it as a home theater device. I hooked it up to it.
Okay, so now we're going to do another to-do over here, and drop in the home theater Nook footage. I'll show you what that is in a second.
The DTS HD working just fine. 24.
You know, I don't know how to pronounce any of this stuff. I would say Mobile Decay's asking if he's pronouncing Gaussian, if he's pronouncing Gaussian or Gaussian or whatever wrong. You know, I don't know. That's how I've always pronounced it. Maybe I'm incorrect about that also. I need to look that up.
4P video.
When someone gives you a thumbs down, do you know who does it? No, I don't know who does it. So, and actually, the thumbs up, I guess some people have configured their YouTube to tie in with their Twitter. So if they thumbs up the video, it automatically tweets it out. So I often see a lot of tweets in my Twitter in the morning of people who thumbs up the video, but it never says, it never does a thumbs down tweet, unfortunately. So, and it's funny, sometimes people thumbs down the video because they don't like the product that I was reviewing. They may have liked the video, they didn't like what I reviewed. So that's how it goes. But generally, the percentage is pretty good. There are a couple of people that have, you know, they're just trolls that like to thumbs down everything, or maybe they're not happy with me over something, so I'll get a few, almost by default, like 5 or 6 thumbs down on every video that I do.
So I think if you're looking to play back movies on here, it will do well. It's also able to, most of the time, play back.
Now, see, here's what's cool about working with the TriCaster, is that this image that you see up here is not something I had to edit in later. I did this as I was recording it.
Our test file here. This is that Jellyfish 140 megabits per second 4K file. It's an HEVC 10-bit, so it's kind of the top of the line for video formats here. It's able to keep up with it without too many issues. There is a drop frame you see there, but it might have just been when I first started it up. It's generally been able to keep up with it. I did get some weird colors on this when I had it hooked up to my home theater receiver and my
They see that because it's able to switch live from that graphic running. Now, before I had the TriCaster, I would have to do all of this in Final Cut. So I have to grab that background file, drop it in here, grab the footage, drop it in, scale it, add the drop shadow. On the TriCaster, hit a button right in the middle of recording, and it's able to just drop that in live. And as you saw here, I can even do it right now if I wanted to. There you go. So that is why I went with the TriCaster, just because it gives me some efficiency. And efficiency is the most important thing when you're running this by yourself. So that is why I did that. Jordan McNulty wants to know if my March Madness bracket is busted. In fact, I hate to admit this, but I don't have one. So I'm not much of a sports fan, actually. I do watch the games. I actually like March Madness basketball because unlike the NBA, where everybody is so polished and perfect, the college games are always exciting to watch. But I generally don't keep a bracket, unfortunately, because I've never been able to even correctly or even close to correctly get anywhere near a successful bracket going.
Through my video system here, so I think that issue might have been on my end over there, not necessarily with what's going on inside of this device. But know that the Kaby Lake generation of Intel processors is more optimized for some of this higher end video these days. But I think you'll have a pretty decent amount of success with this as a home theater device, provided you don't mind the fan noise.
All right, so we'll drop that in. And
out of the game, and the fan noise on this isn't all that.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do over here is just grab that footage that I took of my home theater earlier. So I have some footage of the movie running. Oh, good, I got the color problem there too. Good. All right, so let me grab this. So drop in some footage here. All right, so drop this in. Let's kill the audio. We never want to have any audio of movies in your clips here.
Device. I hooked it up to our home theater Nook over there earlier. I got the DTS HD working.
All right, so actually, I think I had yeah, here it is. Let me grab it. There we go. I like that shot better. So I'm going to grab. And I shoot a lot of B-roll with my phone, actually, because the phone it's a 4K camera on the iPhone. It works so well. So I really like how that comes out. So I'm just going to drop this in over here like that.
Device. I hooked it up to our home theater Nook over there earlier. I hooked it up to our home theater Nook over there earlier. I got the DTS HD.
So now I got the DTS HD footage. Actually, I think it was on that same. No, it was in this one. What's also cool is this PC sent out the audio information to the receiver properly, so I have a nice thing I can cut in there.
Nook over there earlier. I got the DTS HD working just fine. 24p video worked fine.
Okay. You know, it's nice when you put transitions in, it puts them together in this little block that you can then move around together.
I hooked it up to our home theater Nook over there earlier. I got the
Thank you for joining me, Evenos. Have a good evening.
24p video worked fine. So I think if you're looking to play back movies on here, it will do well. It's also able to, most of the time, play back our test file here. This is that jellyfish, 140 megabits per.
And Brian Filippo wants to know, when will he be able to get his Lon.TV tech certifications? I should do that, right? I should have like a class or something.
Home theater receiver and my 4K television, but it seems to be working fine running through my video system here. So I think that issue might have been on my end over there, not necessarily with my 4K television, but it seems to be weird colors on.
All right, so I'm going to, right when I'm talking about the weird colors.
There is a drop frame you see there, but it might have just been when I first started it up. It's generally been able to keep up with it.
All right, so I talk about that weird color thing right about here. Drop it in right here. I don't think I have a lot of footage here, though. How long is it? It's okay. So I like my B-roll clips to be about 3 seconds. That's usually how I go on this.
It's generally been able to keep up with it. I did get some weird colors on this when I had it hooked up to my home theater receiver and my 4K television.
Something like that. So let me see. I don't want to have it pull away, so I think what I'll do is just move it over a little bit this way.
I did get some weird colors on this when I had it hooked up to my home theater receiver and my 4K television.
There we go. So I don't like to have too much of a cut there in between things. So.
But it seems to be working fine.
There we go, John. We can do seminars in your truck. This would be perfect. We can get everything in there. We can do this stuff in the trucks, his production trucks, and stream live and do the tech certifications. I am trying to figure out some different revenue paths too. So I'm playing around with a few ideas as I do this.
When I had it hooked up to my home theater receiver and my 4K television, but it seems to be working fine running through my video. Pretty decent amount of success with this as a home theater device, provided you don't mind the fan noise.
Baron actually asks a really good question here about, do I watch my videos after I post them? And am I more of a content creator as opposed to a content consumer? And I'm both, actually. And so, yes, I actually watch a lot of YouTube videos just because there's a lot of things that I like to watch, and there's so much great content on the things that I'm interested in. I love like retro technology videos, so there's some great like Techmoan and all these other channels that cover retro gaming and whatnot, so I watch a lot of those. And I also do I do watch my stuff a lot too, and especially the older things. I like to go back and look at my videos from a year ago and the year before that, because I'm always trying to improve what I do. And actually watching the older stuff has been really insightful, because I can say, oh, I don't like what I did there. And it just becomes like part of the mental instinct thing. You know, my gut gets guided by that. So I do watch a lot of the videos, especially when I reference one that I did a while ago. I go back and watch a lot of it just to see if it's relevant still. But no, I do watch them a lot. Not all of them, but a lot of them I do that. Cole's doing his history homework, so that's good though. You got to get your homework done. You're doing homework on a Friday. That's very good. Zan would like a Lon.TV shirt. That is on the agenda. I definitely want to get some shirts going. If you all have bought shirts before from YouTubers, if you could tell me what services they're using. I'm seeing Spreadshirt a lot. I'm just curious. I got a contract with an artist to come up with some ideas. I was thinking about like taking some of the things that I say a lot and put them into the shirt, like all the opinions are my own or something like that. So that is what I'm thinking about here. So if you have all bought shirts before, let me know where you're buying them from. I want to make sure that I have the ability to get them shipped internationally, because only about 40% of my audience is in the country that I live in, the United States. The rest are coming in from all over the world. So I took a few more questions here, then I got to wrap up and start dinner. What happens if I don't like a product provided by a company for free? Do they sometimes stop sending you new ones? Generally not. I mean, I've said to people that have sent me stuff like, hey, this thing's terrible. I'm not going to waste my viewers' time with it. But, you know, I've found that generally I don't take the stuff into the channel if I think it's going to be crap ahead of time, just because I don't want to waste your time or mine. So I've been getting better with that. Does my family understand what I do? My wife does. Yeah, my father has no idea what I'm doing. he thought I was crazy. I left the business, but so Mobile the Cases doesn't want to go. Don't worry, I'm going to be done here in about 10 minutes because we're almost at the end of the video here. So don't worry, we're going to be wrapping up soon. Jordan's got a 20-page paper due by the end of May. Intro has to be done for Monday and has to be 3 pages long. In college, I had a 30-page paper to write, and I knew about it from the fall, and it was driving me crazy the entire semester, and I was so proud of myself. I got started. I did the first 5 pages on a flight to Florida for whatever whatever it was. I was so excited. I was ahead of it. And then I wrote those first 5 pages, and then the other 25 didn't get written until 3 a.m. the night before. But that was how I used to do papers. Hated writing papers.
Amount of success with this as a home theater device, provided you don't mind the fan noise.
All right, so we got that part in there, and then we've got the last portion right in here, which is the conclusion.
3, 2, 1. So that is the Lenovo Y710 Cube, and a pretty decent little gaming machine. It's relatively portable with its handle up here, a little heavy, but not unreasonable to be able to transit it around to your various events that you might be attending with it. Looks nice, performs pretty decently, about where it should given what it has inside for hardware, and not such a bad configuration. Again, yes, you can build your own, but if you're looking to get one out of the box that just works, this one may not be such a bad choice. This is Lon.TV, and thanks for watching.
All right, so that's it. Drop that in there. Make sure that clip looks good.
As a home theater device, provided you don't mind the fan noise. That is the Lenovo noise. That is noise.
Tighten that up a little bit.
Fan noise. That is the.
There we go. So that's better. I don't like to have any dead air. I like to really jump from one thing to the next, kind of like that. I just like things not to waste viewers' time, because my video that I'll upload tonight is one of a gazillion of them out in the world. So I really value the time of the viewers, and I don't like wasting time, even with a little half a second.
Don't mind the fan noise.
Drives me crazy.
That is the
Boom.
Lenovo Y710 Cube, and a pretty decent little gaming type, and thanks for watching.
Boom. All right, so now we're done for the most part, and then we're going to take in the end cap. And this is the Patreon thing that I do. This has gotten to be complicated, and it's getting longer every month. So I need to think about how we handle this in the near future. But so all I have to do here, I work on this once a month. I go in and edit all this stuff. So I actually generate this portion in Keynote, and then this is overlaid on top of the still card there, and then it goes to that. And one of the nice things about Final Cut Pro is they have something called, what do they call it? A compound clip. So everything here, this is like a little project, but I'm able to grab all this and create what's called a compound clip. And this is in there, it gets added to the library almost like a video. So if I right click on here, it says new compound clip, and that is what I did. So end cap is what's called the compound clip. And I can go in here and edit that clip, edit all the stuff in here, and then it gets updated in any video that end cap is placed on in these open files here. So it's really slick. It's kind of a nested thing. So you can have this compound clip in your videos. You can change it in one spot, and then it changes everywhere. It's really cool. So here we go. We can take this and just drop it, boom, like that. And then I just bring the volume down to -5 so it doesn't scare the crap out of people when it goes on. And that's it.
This is Lon.TV, and thanks for watching.
Boom.
This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters.
And that's it. So that is the video. I do want to add one thing to the beginning here. So I'm going to go out to Lenovo's website, because what I want to do is just grab, I want to grab the, that breakdown of different configurations, because there's like literally 17 different ways you can buy this computer. So, and they always start off with, it starts at $929 and you can go from there. So let's go pull this down here. So here's all the info on the computer. Where is the buying stuff? Back to the top here. They have like 2 different pages here, view models. There we go. So I'm just going to grab a still frame of this. And the cool thing with the Mac is if you hit Command-Shift-4, you get the ability just to kind of grab that. And I just want to have something just to overlay on that point that I'm making there. So that drops it onto the desktop. So I'm going to go back to Final Cut here and just import that file from my desktop. And what will happen is that I can drop that in and then use that Ken Burns thing. So rather than zooming in like we did before, we're going to just have it kind of scroll across. So let me grab that file. It should be in there now. Yes, I think it's in there. Oops, I think I brought it into the wrong project. Hang on a second. Let's go back. I'll drop it into. Okay, there we go. All right, so now switch back here, and over to this part here. And yes, Jordan, I am almost late for dinner. So I figure I'm so close to being done here that I can maybe take a few extra minutes. Thank you, Recipe Bob, for your super chat contribution. It is greatly appreciated. I thank you for your support.
A bunch of different configuration options you can put into it. So at the low end, you can get in at around $929, and there's a
okay, so right here, and then what I'm going to do is grab that Ken Burns effect again. Now this time, what I'm going to do, this is tough because it's not as long as I thought it was. So let me start it like this, and then we're going to do that. And maybe make this a little bit shorter here, like that. And there we go. So watch this.
$929, and there's a bunch of different configuration options you can put into
that?
it. So at the low end, you can get in at that $930 price tag with an RX 460 GPU from AMD. This one is going to run you about $1,500.
So I'm just going to quicken that up a little bit. So what's cool is that it automatically adjusts how fast it goes based on how long the clip is.
A bunch of different configuration options you can put into it. So at the low end, you can get in at that.
I think I'll just do about 5-6 seconds of that.
$9, and there's a bunch of different configuration options you can put into it. So at the low end, you can get in at that $930 price tag with an RX 460 GPU.
So that is it. So the next thing I do, and I'm going to wrap up here in a second because I got to go make dinner, but is I always go back through and just check all of these breakpoints here to make sure that nothing's crazy. So
before it is posted. All right, so let's step through.
Great, that one looks good. And I'll go to the end of this clip here. But you can see, I'm sure you've probably watched other YouTubers show you their timelines, and they've got all this stuff all up and down and everything. But because I shoot everything live to disk, it really is just a matter of laying down tracks and then supplementing with some of this stuff as I go.
And speaking of firing it up, let's do that right now. I'm going to put it back together, turn it on, and we'll see how it performs. All right, so everything is up and running now, and here is the desktop. And then, all right, so you get the idea as to how that works. Let's take a look now at some gaming, starting with Grand Theft Auto 5. All right, so here we are in GTA 5, and I did as just in the last couple of minutes going through the city here. All right, so now let's take a look at. I also ran the. I also
come on, get over there. There we go.
Monitor that runs at 120 or 144 hertz or something. This game with this configuration should do pretty well. I also ran the from one generation to the next. All the growth really has been on the GPU side of things. Now, given the compact size of the computer, I think it's going to be fine. I don't think you'll see a lot of thermal throttling while you're in the middle of a game. And the fan noise on this is a pretty decent amount of success with this as a home theater device, provided you don't mind the fan noise. That is the Lenovo Y710. Works. This one may not be such a bad choice. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
All right, so that's it. I think that we've got a good video here. So this is Final Cut Pro 10, in case anyone's asking, and I've been using this for probably about 5, 6, 7 years. I got it right when it came out. I really like the workflow. It's very fast for me, and I like how it looks. I like the fact that I have these really nice big video thumbnails here. I like the fact that I can scrub through with the mouse and just see where my videos are. I'm so, you get into your tools and like that's what you use, and so I'm a Final Cut Pro 10 user, so that has been working out really well for me. And then I export it and I upload it, and then what I do to build that video index is, because I was leaving all those markers, now I've got these really great delineations as to when all these different parts of the video start, so I can just go in and just type these in as I go. So my next task is trying to find a utility that will export these for me automatically. So that is the next thing in my to-do list here. But I just thought it'd be kind of fun to just show you how I edit a video. I'm done with this video now, so I'm going to export it and upload this. I'll probably have it up for you all around 9 o'clock or so. Now, just so you know, I started shooting this around 2:30, 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It is now 6:15 p.m. So I took a break to go make sure the kids were and the wife and everybody were okay upstairs. So if I really wanted to, I could crank this entire video out from shoot to edit to upload in probably about 2 hours or so if I have a good shoot. So that's usually, this was like a really good example of a clean shoot. It was very easy to shoot. It was very easy to edit. But generally, that's about how long it takes. But it does take some time to get all the SEO optimized for the upload, getting all this stuff typed in, the titling and the tags and everything. And then there is some time involved in actually evaluating the product. And that's where I'm going to be bringing on some help to speed up that process a bit, because there is some setup that I have to do with the computer. I got to install software. What I have been doing, I don't know if it's near me right now, but here it is. I use this little SSD that I reviewed a while ago. I have a bunch of games and a bunch of software installed on here for testing. So the nice thing about Steam is that it almost makes your games portable. So you can install your Steam games on an external drive and they work on any computer you plug it into. But I still have to install the Steam client and do all that stuff at the outset. I've been using Ninite, which is, you can find it at ninite.com. Which will give you a bunch of stuff you can install automatically with a single click. So it does Steam, Chrome, Java for the Minecraft stuff all on one click. But I'm still having to install things and get everything going. So that is that. I'm going to take a couple more questions here, and then I'm going to go and cook dinner before people start looking for me upstairs. So let's see here. Yeah, Recipe Bob, you can definitely rewind. I'll have this, this link will be active and permanent. It just won't show up in the live stream as we go here. The rendering, Ken, on the MacBook Pro isn't too bad, primarily because I'm not doing all that much with the video. And one of the things that I failed to mention when I brought this in is that these clips from the TriCaster don't need to be transcoded first. So I can drop them in and start editing them right away with no processing required. So the workflow is very quick. In fact, they just reside on the SSD here that I copied them to before I started working on the video. So it's a really fast workflow. And when I output, because everything is already pre-made, essentially, and I'll give you a great example of that. Let's go back to that home theater clip. Because I'm not rendering this clip, this was all done on the TriCaster in real time, I don't have to do any rendering of it when I export. So it's really pretty quick. Usually it outputs a video like this in about 15 minutes or so, if that. And actually, it'll be quicker when I go to 30p, because right now, the way I have to export to make sure you don't get all this jagged stuff in the end of the video is some wacky thing, which I'm resolving when I go to 30p. So I think my export time will probably be cut in half, maybe about 10 minutes or so, for a video about this 10-minute length. So not bad, and it's pretty efficient that way. So that's been working pretty well. I do not have Google Fiber, Ken Markert asks. I have Comcast. 10 megabits upstream. I'm using about 6 of it right now to do the stream here, and surprisingly, it's been holding up pretty well throughout the last hour or so. Let's see, Recipe Bob uses iMovie, and Final Cut Pro 10 is great. I think if once you get to the point, I mentioned this earlier in the stream, when you get to the point where iMovie's not cutting it anymore and there's things that you want to do and can't, that's when you should upgrade. And I think Final Cut Pro is very reasonably priced for what you get here. So that's going to do it, guys and gals. I have to head out and cook some dinner now. So let me get moving on that front, and I will see you all soon. And I will obviously have this stream added into our live stream link, and I'll mention this on the wrap up, and we'll go from there. So that will do it. I might re-upload this to the Extras channel too. It might be a fun thing for people to watch in a subscription feed too. All right, so I'm going to go do the export, go cook some dinner, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you all for watching. It's been fun, and I'll do these again. So let me know. I'll probably do one maybe when I shoot one live. That might be kind of fun. You can see how many takes I have to do sometimes to get it right. Maybe the pressure of having you watch me might make me faster at shooting too. We'll see how that goes. All right, everybody, good night, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.